Your retirement shouldn't depend on what the market does tomorrow, and neither should your path to get there. You're listening to 10 Minutes Wealthier from the team at Branning Wealth Management. Each episode, we cover one piece of the wealth planning puzzle because the right moves before retirement are just as important as the right moves during it. Let's get to work.
Welcome back to 10 Minutes Wealthier, Essentials from Branning Wealth Management. I'm founder Jason Branning. Today we're going to talk about portfolio construction, but not the way that most financial advisors talk about it. There'll be no pie charts or just comments like own a little bit of everything and rebalance once a year. No, what I want to talk to you about is your portfolio and what it's actually supposed to do during the retirement phase. Because the answer to that question changes everything about how you construct your portfolio. For most of your working life, the design of your portfolio was one thing. Just go grow. You put money in, you let it compound, and you watch the balances go up over time. That is accumulation thinking, and it works perfectly during the accumulation phase. But when you retire, the game changes fundamentally. You're no longer adding to the portfolio, you're having to live off of it. It needs to support income, account for sequence of returns risk, coordinate with your bond ladder and tax strategy, and potentially last 30 years or more. Most people make that transition without ever stopping to reframe what the portfolio is supposed to do. They just keep the same account, perhaps get a little more conservative and hope for the best. That's not really a plan. It's really inertia. In our safety-first approach, the portfolio has a very specific role. The bond ladder, that becomes the income floor, is designed to cover essential expenses for a defined and predetermined number of years without ever having to touch the growth portion of the portfolio. Growth portfolio will simply sit alongside the income ladder with one job in mind. That's to grow over the long term so that it can fund the next phase of retirement once the bond ladder matures. Because your income floor is in place, the growth portfolio does not need to be overly conservative in the short term. It needs to grow for the long term. You're not going to be forced to panic sell when the market declines because you don't need to sell. Your income isn't going to be coming from the growth side of the portfolio. It can simply ride through the volatility the way it's supposed to. This is one of the insights at the heart of modern retirement theory, a framework that I co-developed with Professor Ray Grubbs. It's been published in the Journal of Financial Planning. Safety first and growth. Safety and growth are not opposites in retirement. They're complements when they're put in their proper perspective. Safer assets protect the short term, and that protection is what allows the growth assets to be left alone so they actually can grow. I've had clients describe the shift mentally that they've experienced. One told me that his worry about retirement didn't go away until he truly understood that his income was already scheduled to come due exactly when he needed it, on a calendar matched to his life, regardless of what the market was doing in that year or will be doing. Others tell me they don't worry about when the market drops anymore. They know they can just ride through it. They know that the money that's the most volatile in the portfolio isn't going to be for next year. It's for 10 or 15 years from now, so it's got plenty of time to do its job. Now let's talk about how we build a growth portfolio. There are 4 basic principles that drive the construction. First is global diversification. John Bogle, founder of Vanguard, famously called diversification the only free lunch in investing. Well, a lot of people do diversify, but they only do so within the U.S. Call it done. The U.S. is only about 60% of the global capitalization of the world, and the other 40% of the companies are outside the U.S. in developed markets like Europe and Asia, and emerging economies like India and Brazil. A truly diversified portfolio reflects the global market, not just the domestic one. Second, time horizon. If you retire at 65 with a 10-year bond ladder, your growth portfolio does not need to produce income for a decade. A 30% market drop is an emergency if your income depends on the growth portfolio. However, if you have the bond ladder in place and the income floor is secured, while uncomfortable when you see markets go down, it's not actually a crisis. The structure simply gives you time to wait. Third, stocks as the engine. Over long time horizons, stocks have historically outpaced inflation more reliably than other major asset classes. The equity risk premium is real and documented across countries and different time periods. Owning the broad market generally will beat trying to pick just the winners for the vast majority of investors. Low cost, broadly diversified, and globally allocated. Fourth, costs. 2 identical portfolios, same investments, same returns. One portfolio of funds charges 1% internally, while the other 0.1%. Over 20 years on a $500,000 portfolio, that difference may compound to over $100,000 of difference. Only thing guaranteed is the fee. The returns are not. Being fee only, and as a fiduciary, it means our only incentive is to keep your costs low. So when you take these 4 fundamentals, all coordinated with your tax strategy and income plan, we do that because the portfolio does not exist in isolation. That's what makes it a plan rather than just an account. So does your portfolio have a clearly defined job in your retirement income plan, or is it just a number that you're hoping gets big enough? Well, if you'd like to talk about how to build a portfolio with a real purpose inside a complete retirement income plan, visit us at brandwealth.com. Next episode, we'll go even deeper on how we build a portfolio, the academic research behind our investment decisions, factor-based investing, and the framework for thinking about risk that goes well beyond a questionnaire. Until then, build a plan, not just the portfolio. We'll talk soon.
Information shared in this podcast is for educational purposes only and does not constitute investment, tax, or legal advice. Opinions expressed are those of the speaker and may not reflect the views of Branning Wealth Management or its associates. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. This podcast is not a solicitation to invest. Branning Wealth Management provides investment advisory services under Asset Dedication, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. For additional information, including our ADV Part 2A and Part 3 disclosures, visit brandwealth.com.